Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I am your host. Thank you all for being on here. And I want to thank you in advance to everyone who shares this out. I know during the broadcast I generally don't get an opportunity to communicate a lot with the people that share it out and follow this. And I just want to say thank you. You all rock. So listen, today I have, the dude probably will not call himself this, but he's a massive celebrity in my eyes and has accomplished some things that most people on this planet will never accomplish, quite frankly. So I want to go ahead and welcome my new friend, Danny Levin. I said it right, didn't I?
Hey,
I got it.
Hey, how are you? It's so nice to be here. And you are right. I would never say that about myself. So
I know you wouldn't. I know. I knew that about you. But
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You are, man. And we're going to get into it here in a little bit. But dude, you've accomplished some things that most people wouldn't ever. Like it's amazing. So, I'm very grateful. Number one, you reached out to me, which blew my mind. I was like, hold on, is this spam? Somebody broke into this guy's email and sent me an email. Like, what's going on here? So thank you, man. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful.
Well, it's my honor. And I should just say to you to clarify things. First of all, I appreciate your high regard for me. And when I used to speak a lot, people would introduce me in a similar fashion, and I never understood it. I would obviously be gracious and thank you and say thank you very much.
Yeah.
But really what it comes down to for me, Ken, is this. If in this interview today we touch people, it doesn't matter where I've come from. Dude. It doesn't matter what I've done.
Yeah.
I could be living under a bridge. If we touch people, that's really all that we want to do. And if we don't touch anybody, What good does all the accolade do?
Hey, you know what though? I think and we'll get into this, but life is about energy, I think. And Einstein said everything is energy in motion. And you bring a different kind of energy. And before we go too far into this, I want to plug your new book that you have out called The Mosaic.
Thank you.
And we'll talk about this a lot more, but you have this book out called The Mosaic, and I'm going to have you talk about that here in a bit. But where I want to start, and see, there's already people sharing this out. Thank you, guys. So, and gals. But here's where I want to start. I want to start with, because this show, I created this to help people. I've been very blessed in life, and I live in a place of extreme gratitude. So I thought, what can I do to give back to the world where I'm not walking around on the streets handing out $20 bills? Right? So I'm like, you know what? A better way would be if I created a show where I can bring billions of dollars in value through the knowledge of people like my friend Danny and other people. So let's start with let's tell everybody where you were born and raised.
I was born in the East Coast in Philadelphia, and I haven't been back to Philadelphia in almost 40 years.
Wow.
My parents passed away 2 years apart on the same day. So my dad passed away when I was 13, and my mom passed away when I was 15. Wow. And so I left Philadelphia with a lot of pain in my body and a lot of pain in my mind and a lot of pain in my heart. And so going back there, and I have been back to visit, but I haven't been back, and I'm in the process of trying now to move back to Philadelphia to sort of close that circle of all the things that happened there and to make peace with it.
So you're like, you live in California right now.
I live in San Diego, which is, supposed to be the ideal climate.
Yeah.
When I came here, it was always 70 degrees. It didn't matter day, night, winter, summer, spring, fall. It was always 70 degrees. And now we're getting changes in that. And you see it's overcast. I don't know if you can tell, but the light of it's overcast. It's, we live a few blocks from the beach. So we live in a beautiful, beautiful place.
Wow.
And people look at me and say, why would you move to Philadelphia when you have this incredible place that you live in?
Right.
And things are all a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
And pardon me for getting too much but every decision we make comes down to a perspective that we take. If the perspective is only about weather and surfing, then I would be an idiot to leave San Diego, right?
Right.
But if the perspective is about quality of schools, if the perspective is about culture and education, if the perspective is about music and theater, if the perspective is about sports teams, if this perspective is about historic relevance, if the perspective is about multidimensional cultural realities, then everything in Philadelphia is 1,000 times more valuable than San Diego.
Right.
If we're making a decision around weather, people go, what are you, crazy? Why would you leave that great weather? But even that perspective, to change a tepid weather situation where it's always in the same range, to go to 4 seasons is really a whole different reality. And it's fun to go to 4 seasons.
Yeah.
It's fun to have winter and spring and summer and fall, and to see the change of colors in the leaves, and to see snow on the ground.
We were living in Las Vegas from July of 2016 until August of 2017, and I don't recommend it, by the way. But like we were out, and it's just it's hot like all the time. And so, I guess in the winter it gets chilly at night. But it's not like we moved back to Ohio, which is where we're from. And it's like, wow, there's snow. That's right. I forgot. Right. And it's not bad. You just learn to adapt. You adapt.
Yeah. Well, it seems like a senseless place for us to go.
Yeah.
But it's only senseless if we think we're talking about weather,
right,
or we think we're talking about a move. What we're really talking about is what perspective do we bring to the decisions we make in our life? And based on that perspective, everything will change.
Wow. So you were born and raised till 15.
Yeah.
And at 15, so your parents died at they're 13 and 14 or 14 and 15?
13 and 15.
13 and 15. Okay. And wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. And that shaped my life, because basically what happened is I felt different than everybody else. What 15-year-old kid has already lost his parents? I mean, there are probably some in the world that have.
You were different.
But I wasn't the same as everybody else. And that feeling of separation made me feel isolated and somewhat alone. But it also gave me an ability to see things that kids my age didn't see.
Right.
And so between those perspective changes and the other thing that happened, which was really remarkable for me, is that calamity introduced me into a new reality, which was a luxury. My mother's sister married Richard Block, who became R of H&R Block.
Oh, wow.
He started H&R Block with his brother. And at 15 years old, I was there with him for about 3 months. And he looked at me and he said, I don't have any sons. I only have daughters, and I'm not going to hand my business over to my daughters, because it was 45 years ago when men didn't do that.
Right, right.
And so he said, I'm looking at you, and I believe that you could start pushing a broom and end up in my seat. And so I'm going to offer you the possibility right now to enter my company, start at the bottom and work your way up to the top. And I believe you'll have my seat in a few years.
As one of the founders of H&R Block.
He was our block of H&R Block.
Oh my Lord, have mercy! Wow.
So, being the arrogant kid that I was, full of the pain of losing my parents,
Yeah.
I didn't answer like most people would answer. I said, it took you 3 months to look at me and determine that I would be okay to do this. I want to watch you for a year and see if I even want what it is you have, because I don't really know you.
Right.
And he looked at me and he said, do you realize that 99.9, say 9 until the end of the time, percent of the people would have said, absolutely, thank you. When do I start? Where's my broom?
Right.
And I said, just our rotten luck that I'm that 0.0000000 until the end of time 1. And he said, well, it's partly that you have that in you, that I'm interested in you.
Right.
And so I said, I'd like a year to watch you.
Wow.
And 1 year to the day, I had forgotten the day that I said it, and the year, I hadn't forgotten the questions. I haven't forgotten the observation. But 1 year to the day, he said, I'd like to know the answer to my question. And in telling the story now, a few seconds apart, it's obvious what the question was. 1 year later, it wasn't so obvious. So I said, you have to ask me a question before I can give you an answer. He said, oh, you forgot the question. I said, oh, you mean that question? I didn't forget. I just forgot that this was 1 hour, 1 year later.
Wow.
And I promise you, I'll never forget that again.
Right.
So he said, I want to take you to lunch and I want to find out the answer. And so we went to lunch and he said, tell me. I said, my answer comes in the form of 3 questions. He said, uh-oh, this doesn't look good. And I said, do you remember you had a birthday party? And you had hundreds of people in the backyard here. And I came up to you so enamored. And I said, it must feel so fabulous to be a person like yourself and have all these friends. Do you remember your reply to me? He said, yes, I do. He said, I'd say it to you again today. And I said, correct me if I'm wrong then. I think you said to me, these are not friends. These are just people who like me because I have money. If I lost my money tomorrow, they would not be my friends. And he said, that's right.
Wow.
I said, can you tell me why you would like to give me that present? And of not knowing whether people will like me or like me for what I have. He said, okay, what's your next question? I said,
he didn't give you an answer.
He didn't give me an answer. So I said, do you remember a few months later we were sitting around the dinner table and your daughters are nice people, but they're not very attractive. And you knew that, and they knew that, and I know that. And so they were boys were getting interested in them. And do you remember what you told them? And he said, yes, I do. I tell them to him again today. I said, am I right in paraphrasing that by saying you have to be careful of men interested in you because they may not be interested in you. They may be interested in what your last name is.
Wow. Yeah.
And he said, yes, I do. And I said, so even if I were able to get over the hurdle of being okay with and finding my own way to make sure people like me or don't like me, can you tell me why you would want to give that gift to my children? And he said, what's your next question? And so third question was, if I started at the bottom and worked my way up to the top and along the way I saw things that I thought could really help benefit the company, would I have the freedom to be able to initiate those changes? And he looked at me and he said, Daddy, why would you try and fix something that's not broken? And I said, so you tell me what you think the answer to your question is. He said, you know, from today on, you will be excommunicated.
Wow.
And I said, I understand, and I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for the space that you've given me. I'm about to go to college. You said you would take care of my college. Should I take care of my own college? He said, no, we'll cover your college. But from the time you leave to go to college till, whenever, this is not your home anymore.
So this is in Philly still or no?
This is in Kansas City.
Oh, Kansas City.
So I
Okay.
picked up from Philadelphia, and I moved. And so I moved in with a family I didn't know, and to their
With the Block family,
with a Block family, yeah,
which was your family. Your
which was my mother's sister and sister's family.
Good Lord, man. Like that,
So,
what was it a big company at that point? Were they
oh
that on that?
yeah, oh
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
grew like that's a that you they had big bucks.
I
Big
went from
bucks.
being in a lower middle class family to in one of the elite families in the country.
I mean, really? Like
Really,
seriously, that's insane.
seriously. And I had
Wow.
the and he. So what I don't want to do is leave a story one sided, because if you would only hear that side of the story, you would think these people are ogres and terrible.
No.
Uh, they did amazing things for me, but I was too arrogant and hurt to
Yeah.
really accept their help. And what I watch it now in our kids as they're growing up, there's a certain thing about being a teenager, and especially a hurt teenager, where you actually think you know more than anybody else in the world. I was certainly guilty of that.
Yeah.
And I look back on the things that they did now, and I think, oh my God, my life would have been so much easier if I would have just listened to them. Not even just entering the company, but just doing some of the investments they did. And they tried to help me out in so many ways after that. They didn't excommunicate me. They said it, but they couldn't. They
Yeah.
had too much love in their heart.
Yeah.
But they just had to hold me at bay because I hurt them.
Yeah.
And it's what we all do when we get hurt, right? Whether it's in a business or whether it's in a relationship or a marriage or whether it's a child and their parents. When we get hurt, we push away most of the time.
I
And
just
so,
said it the other day to somebody. I said, "Hurt people hurt people,"
yeah,
and
exactly.
and they do. So you know here you are. You went to college then, I assume.
I went to college and I dropped out.
Okay.
I went to the Claremont schools. I went to Pitzer College in East LA, not East LA, but east of LA. I took all the undergraduate courses for psychology degree in 2 years. I was looking, as it says in the Mosaic. The Mosaic's sort of my story, not exactly, but sort of my story. Thank you. Thank you for holding it up.
I have props. I have props.
Thank you. So what I realized in writing that book now, only 50 years later, 40 years later, is that as a kid, all these opportunities came to me that were amazing opportunities.
Yeah.
But I was looking for this place called heaven that the adults told me my parents were in. And H&R Block was not that heaven.
Wow, dude, you just gave me chills. Now that doesn't happen on this show for me. So, wow. That's say that again, man. Say that one more time so people can get it.
Well, when my parents passed away, I asked the adults where my parents were, and they said they're in a place called heaven. So what I realized only 40 years later writing this story is that I was looking for the place called heaven. And as beautiful as a place on earth as H&R Block was,
Yeah.
it wasn't the place that I was looking for. And so I had to walk away from it.
Now,
And understand it. They didn't understand it. Nobody understood it, but only now I start to understand it.
So let me for anybody who just joined, I want you to understand that this guy was his Danny's parents died, and you said it was your father died first or your mother?
My father died when I was 13,
13.
and disrupted my whole world because I was my father's mini me.
Wow.
They didn't have mini me's at that time, but I was his mini me.
And what did your mother died when you were 15, 2 years later to the day?
My mother died of a heart. She died of cancer, but she really died of a heartbreak. They were so connected. So I don't know if that's the cough of my sort of symptoms, or if that's just so hard for me to talk about that it chokes me up.
It could be both. But so you and what did your parents do for a living?
My dad sold glass. So in those years there weren't shopping malls.
Right.
And so he sold glass, and he actually put all the glass windows on the shopping centers around the country.
Wow.
And so it was just like this crazy new thing that had come, and he was installing glass mirrors in people's houses, and all of a sudden they were putting them on these malls because there were suddenly indoor outdoor malls.
Wow. Wow. So you now I gotta tell you guys, stay tuned. Do not leave this stream because you wait till you hear what this dude accomplished in life. It's mind-boggling to me. So because I know you've rubbed elbows with people like Dr. Wayne Dyer and probably
Yeah,
Deepak Chopra and
yeah,
John DeMartini, some of my favorite people in the world. And people, look, I didn't know I've not heard of Danny Levin, and
nobody
I
would.
said it
No,
right.
you said it.
But you've accomplished something unbelievable, unbelievable. So I want to say, like, okay, so here you are, your parents passed away, and you ended up in Kansas City living with the Block family of H&R Block. Your mother's sister was married to Mr. Block, correct? He was
Richard
your
Block.
uncle,
He was my uncle.
Uncle Block. Wow. So that's
I was a
crazy.
chip off the block. I guess you could say.
A chip off the chip off the old block. So here you are, and it probably was at least a nice double wide they lived in. I'm kidding. So it was probably a
Yeah,
pretty nice place. I'm assuming, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
And
the people that became a part of my world completely changed. The way people thought
yeah,
completely changed from the people that I knew.
I'm
And
sure.
had I been wiser, I would have taken more advantage of that. But I was still too hurt and arrogant. But one of the interesting things about me that I realized is the thing that was always my biggest flaw is that I saw the world differently than other people, which isolated me and separated me, became my biggest calling card.
Wow.
Because when I started to work with like Hay House, I created a product for them that nobody ever saw.
Right.
I, I created a genre for them that had never been created. When I work with corporations, I'm able to help them look and see things that they don't ever see before, which is the basis of innovation. When I work with, we were lucky enough to work with the government of Jamaica, and they brought us in to work with their ministry department, and we were able to help people see things they never saw before. And so that thing that made me sort of feel isolated and alone
Yeah.
was actually the thing that became the sought after quality for me of being able to see what other people don't see and become an innovation person.
And that's something, and I think I wrote a book called Walls of Wisdom, Turning Pain into Profit. And that's exactly what you're talking about. So many people run from pain. And I'm not saying, hey, I'm a like some kind of a sadomasochist where like, beat me, please, I love pain. I'm saying that I look at the situation from my third eye, if you would, and I say, okay, this is a situation that it sucks really bad because it's not going the way that I anticipated that it would go. But there is something in this whole thing of pain that I can use in my future. At
Yeah.
some point, I'll be able to use this pain to benefit myself and others.
So one of the places that I'm working on in myself, and please don't think that I've mastered this, is shortening that gap from this sucks to one day I'll realize this is good. Shortening that gap
Yeah, good luck.
to realizing it's good right now,
Right,
because there doesn't need to be that gap.
right.
That gap again is only a perception.
Yes,
And if we really trust in a bigger power, if we really like, what I want to get to at one point is the four practices that I work with on connection, and because it's really important to see that when we understand, and one of those connection points is a connection to source.
Yep.
When we understand that there's a bigger hand at work in the work that we're doing, and we can cooperate with that rather than resist that, that space narrows, and our suffering narrows, and our pain narrows, because we start to see, wow, if I'm going to see goodness in a month from now, why don't I just see it now?
I love it. Dude, that's awesome. That's so powerful. And that's what, like Dr. Wayne Dyer would talk about, the gap, right? Which was the space between our thoughts. And living in that, like learning because if you're there, there's no judgment. There's no right? Am I right?
100%. 100%. We're scared of emptiness. We're scared because everybody is so bravado. They live life. That's why you notice my hesitation when you say who I am, because everybody's so used to having over exaggerated profiles.
Yeah.
I want to just be who I am.
Well,
I want to.
I understand that, but I'm going to say this to you, and I already love you, man. You're freaking amazing, and we've been friends now for one solid week.
That's right, 100%.
Right, but I think you're amazing, and I want to say that, and let's just get into it because you've mentioned Hay House Productions or Hay House Publishing. rather,
yeah.
And so you knew Louise Hay. And why don't you tell everybody how that came about? And I don't know how old you were. I want, we can fill in the gaps, but let's get into that whole situation.
Okay. In my search for heaven, I walked away from H&R Block. I went to college. And had the opportunity to work with the man who started organizational psychology. He wanted me to be his apprentice, but I was a hippie. And I looked at him and I said, really, you're going to take this into organizations? I mean, what about the picture don't I see? Which again was just a stupid thing. But I walked away after 2 years with him. He wanted to apprentice with me because again, that wasn't the heaven I was looking for. I put my thumb out on the road, put my thumb out and hitchhiked around the world.
Come on.
And
wait. You had the opportunity to step into the founder's position of H&R Block, and instead you hitchhiked around the world.
Yeah.
Dude, what? Wow.
Because that perspective of seeing the world the way I see it is exactly the response most people gave. Like, you are crazy. If you would ask 1,000 people which they would choose to take over H&R Block and be trained to take it over, or hitchhike around the world, 10,000 people. If you asked 1,000, 10,000 would say H&R Block, right?
Right.
And so I always looked at myself and said, what's wrong with you? Like, why wouldn't you have done that? And the only place that I realized is I was looking for something other than what that was.
Wow.
I wasn't looking for the money. I wasn't looking for that. I was looking to resolve a pain and a suffering inside myself, a loneliness and an emptiness that happened when I was disconnected from my parents.
But let me ask you this. I mean, because again, I understand. I did some very similar things, man. And I was not presented the opportunity to run a multi-billion-dollar company and make it mine, but outside of that, I did some similar things, and we're talking about in your 20s, right? Or whatever.
We're talking about my teens.
Teens. Okay. Teens. You're hitchhiking in your teens, dude?
That's
dangerous.
I'm not now in this world, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
In that world, it was 1973.
Wow, man. So here you are, a hippie teenager, probably listening to the Doors.
Absolutely listening to the Doors, not probably.
Trying to break on through to the other side.
I'm hitchhiking around thinking people are strange when you're a stranger, right?
Dude, you're awesome. So here you are, like you pass on H&R Block. Just that's
I think
mind-boggling
we
to
have to
me.
sit there a minute with you there because
So I'm never going to let you live that down, by the way, from this point forward. So you pass on H&R Block. You decide to hitchhike, but you didn't. I mean, I've looked back and at my life, and I was searching for the same thing, right? And we
yeah,
talked the other day about Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, but like I didn't know then that I was searching for heaven or
yeah,
whatever. I didn't know it then. Did you?
yeah. I don't think I knew it then, but you have to understand that, remember what I said to you, the quality that made me so obscure and so much like ununderstandable to the world around me was that I saw things differently.
Right.
What everybody else was interested in, I could care less about because I was interested in finding this thing that I didn't know what it was.
Right.
It was only as I started to write the Mosaic when I realized that what the main character, thank you,
There's
that
his
I
book.
realized what the main character was about was that he was looking for that place the adults told him was where his parents were. And that was me. I was looking for, like, where is this heaven that people are, where will I find that peace and that comfort and that naivete and that innocence that I had in the love of my mom and my dad.
Wow.
I grew up in a beautiful family and my mom and my dad loved me.
Wow, man.
And when that was taken from me, the world was threatening and scary. And I didn't know what to do. And people wanted me to be something and wanted me to be what they wanted me to be. But I wasn't ready to be what they wanted me to be.
Were you angry?
I would say no, but I bet I was.
So you weren't lashing out, robbing
No,
grocery stores?
no, I wasn't doing any. I wasn't doing any of that. I think more than anything, I was scared.
Yeah.
And in my fear, I'm sure my aunt and uncle would say you were an angry boy because we gave you so much opportunity.
Right.
We gave you so much and you just threw it away. You just walked away from it. Like I was arrogant and I didn't want to listen. And I think I thought I knew better, but that comes from, I guess, a place of anger.
Right.
But I was,
wow.
I think more than anything, I was alone and scared.
Wow.
And when I think about it now, when people are alone and scared, what do they do?
Do things to not be alone and scared.
They do things to protect themselves.
Right.
So I started to build these walls around me that are still coming down.
Yeah. Wow.
And so
man.
a gesture of help given to me never made it to me. It made it only to the wall around me that was protecting me.
Right. That's incredible, man. That you see it. Because most people go to their grave never seeing that they built those walls.
Yeah, well, the walls that protected me finally started to suffocate me.
Sure.
And I realized that in the book that I wrote, The Mosaic, which is a book about connection,
yeah,
what I realized is, what am I connecting to? If I'm connecting my wall to your wall, there's not much of a connection.
Right.
So what the Mosaic came to me, and if I can just talk about this, if we can segue for a minute. What the Mosaic showed me is there's 4 different types of connections. When I ask most people what connection is, most people say this is what connection is. It's you and me talking to each other. It's us connecting with each other. It's us doing what we do. But that's really the 4th step of the 4 connections. The first step is a connection to self. And we have to really understand who we are and what we are. And we have to feel good about the person we are. I actually created this whole sort of movement that I'm just going to be starting, which is it's a Be Kind to You 21-day challenge.
I love it, by the way. So explain to everybody what that is, because I love that.
So the Be Kind to You challenge is that in the work that I've done with people, companies, organizations, governments, What I found is we've been trained in a society that teaches us the golden rule. Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. So we're for the most part, we treat other people really, really well.
Right.
But we don't treat ourselves that well. If you and I were walking, Ken, and you fell down, here would be my commitment to you. I would sit down next to you to make sure you're okay. If you weren't okay, I would stay there and I would get help, whatever you needed. If you said you were okay, I would look at you and assess if I felt you were ready to stand, and I would help you stand up.
Right.
When you were standing up, I would watch you to make sure you were stable.
Right.
And when you were stable, I would take some steps with you. And when I could see that you could walk, I would let you go and walk, but I would watch you for another 20 steps.
Right.
Now, if you and I were walking and I fell down, I would say, you clumsy son of a gun. Like, here, you just met this guy and you want to make a nice impression on him, and you're down on your knees and you fell down. What an idiot you are.
Right.
Right?
To yourself, you would say all that.
I would say all that to myself. That's my inner dialogue.
Sure.
So what I realized is I spend so much of my time doing this. I spend so much of my day just hitting myself and being hard on myself. And so look at the space of the wall that I have to put up around me from my face. And I don't know where I'm going to hit myself, so I have to build that wall all over my body. And so when I realize that there's a 3-inch wall that surrounds me, what sort of connection can I have with you?
Right.
It's really my wall connecting to your wall. That's not a connection.
Wow.
But I painted my wall really nice so that other people would think, oh, this is a good guy. But you never know me and I never know you, because all we know is the walls that separate us.
Yeah.
So when I started to be kind to myself, what I realized is I could drop that protective wall that I put up to protect myself. Now, I still might build another one when I see you because I might be scared of you.
Right.
But at least that one has some space around it. Now, suddenly, that 3 inches of living room that I was in has grown exponentially. And when that wall opens up, then I can go into the second practice. But in order to do that practice, what I did is I created this bracelet and this 21-day challenge. And the 21-day challenge is try to go 21 days with being kind to yourself. As soon as you see yourself knocking yourself down or being self-deprecating or doing something that hurts you, take your bracelet off, put it on the other wrist, and start it. And this is now day 1. So I've been wearing this for now 15 days. I got to day 4 once. I'm back at day 1 this morning.
Wow.
The process will probably take, 8
Years.
months, 6 months. It could take a long time.
It could.
But imagine. But here's the beauty of it. At day 3 of the day that I made it to day 4, I looked down at my wrist just as the thought was forming. And I said, hold it, catch yourself, be kind to yourself. And so
God.
that practice is, if we could be kind to ourselves, if we could support ourselves, if we could use our energy to get behind what we're doing rather than to sabotage what we're doing, how different would the world we live in be?
Dude, like, I already knew this. You've told me this story, but like, hearing it again and seeing you talk about it is powerful. There are people on the stream on Facebook right now that are already asking how they get the wristbands. They love it. Everybody loves it. You're a wise dude, man. All that hitchhiking around the world, man.
My parents called me a wise guy. They said, don't be such a wise guy. Well, I'm not sure if I'm a wise man yet or still a wise guy.
You're definitely a wise guy, wise man. You got some wisdom. So how do people get those wristbands?
So my website will launch hopefully on Monday. It will be themosaiconline.com.
Okay.
And my book will be available there and my wristband.
It's too bad we didn't meet before you started building your website, because that's what I did.
I know. I wish, because it's taken forever.
Yeah.
I wish I would have done it through you.
Yeah.
But the person I'm working with is a nice person. I love her, but it's just.
It takes time.
takes time.
Yeah, it does.
It takes time.
So you're thinking Monday the wristbands will be available on Monday.
And the wristbands will be available. They can email me at zenseidanny@me.com and say we want those wristbands.
How do you spell it? Maybe somebody will type it in your email address.
ZENSEIDANNY
At me.com. Awesome.
Okay.
So,
and I can put it in under this after we finish. But I believe that movement could change everything in our lives.
Absolutely 1,000% it could. 1,000%.
And so that's step one. Practice one is be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Practice two is as soon as I allow that, as soon as I'm no longer defending myself for myself,
yeah,
this wall comes down. Suddenly what happens is I become vulnerable. I now am able to experience you. Yeah. I'm able to let you into me, and even more than that, I'm able to that person that I was hiding is able to come out to you, and the real authentic Danny can come to you, not the wall that says he's Danny.
Wow.
And when that real authentic person comes and I feel you and I experience you and I'm open to the ideas and I listen to you, the practice of listening is a lost art in our culture today.
Yes,
all you have to do is look at the political climate where we talk at each other, we talk over each other, we interrupt each other, we don't listen to each other. We're not trying to solve problems anymore. We're trying to say our side has it right. So we have one silo of like-minded people over here and another silo of like-minded people over here. Yeah. And the gap between those silos is getting bigger and deeper and larger and more tumultuous.
Yep.
And we're creating not a United States of America or a united world. We're creating a divided States of America where the Constitution of America starts out with we the people, but we haven't been we the people for a long time. We've been we the red people, we the blue people, or we the anti-Trump people, or we the Trump people, or whatever it is. It's time for all that nonsense to stop. And the way to do that is to start to listen to each other, to start to be vulnerable, to start to be open to each other. I'm fearing that I'm talking too much.
You know, and so now you need to change wrists with your bracelet.
That's why my wife has one too, and it's good to have it with a partner because I would have let that one go. So I'm back at day one. Here I am. Thank you.
You said thank you. Listen, man, like this is the internet and it's my show. So if we want to talk all day long, we'll do it, man. I don't care. I love, and I'm listen, you're not seeing the comments, but people are absolutely loving you. So, you know, you're not talking too much. And as a matter of fact, somebody said, what are the other three connections? So this is incredible, and I do want to get to where I was trying to lead you earlier, but we got off at an exit. We're at the gas station, shopping around, looking through the little the cakes.
We started kicking the tires. We realized we needed a new set of tires.
Like, so dude, come on, get back in the car. We got to get back on the interstate. Let's roll, dude. I'm kidding. So no, let's talk about the other three connections, though. Everybody wants to know.
Okay, so the second connection is once I bring down that wall and I'm kind to myself, then I can become vulnerable.
Right.
And in that becoming vulnerable, I start to show up. I start to show up as I am without my protection, and I start to listen and I let you in. So I'm no longer protecting myself. I'm listening and I'm hearing and I'm showing up authentically. The third thing that opens up is once I start to allow information to come into me, then I become like a receiving station because everything comes in and everything goes out. So I have to start to live my life purposefully. I have to know what it is, where I'm going, and what the direction is that I need to go, and how do I get to those places. Because if you think about a mosaic, every piece that we connect to connects us to a whole nother world of pieces. So we have to decide what's the connection point that we're going, what's the destination that we want to get to, and what are the pieces that will help us together to get there. I'm going to share with you just something very personal that I've been doing. Because I've experienced so much pain in my life, I made a commitment to my life that what I was going to do was I was going to eat foods that would comfort me in the moment. Comfort foods do not help to make a svelte individual.
Right.
They comfort you, right? And so I would sit and eat comfort foods, but I would feel good in the moment, even though I would feel lousy the moments afterwards.
Right.
I would still feel comfortable. Suddenly something happened that I changed my destination. I had a heart scare, and I thought that maybe something was wrong with my heart. There wasn't. My heart's as healthy as a 16-year-old kid. But in that moment, I made a decision. I'm going to eat foods that are good for me, not foods that comfort me. Well, as soon as I put that destination in my GPS system, the road that I was taking no longer went past those places of comfort. It went directly to those places where things that were good for me happened immediately without any effort at all, which is crazy. I stopped eating sugar, dairy, meat, fish, processed foods, carbs, and I started to eat a plant-based diet. Within 2 months, I lost 30 pounds, and now I've sort of leveled off and plateaued because I'm having a mind thing that says, "How you can't lose 30 pounds in 2 months."
Yeah.
And so I'm dealing now with a mental block that's preventing me from going forward, but I'm still continuing to eat plant-based foods.
So you've given up. And how did this shift occur? What happened?
It happened because I was trying to do something, and I met with a guy who is on the board of X Prize. And he said to me, "I really want to help you, but I don't want to help you as long as you're unhealthy. You're not taking care of yourself." And people have said that to me all the time. And most of the time I said, "Screw you, then don't help me. I'll find somebody else." Like I could give a damn what you think. I don't need, like, I'm living my life the way I want to live my life.
Right.
But something in it was the right message at the right time. And it hit a nerve in me. And I said, with this heart scare and with what he's saying, you know what? Maybe it's time to make a change. And the moment I made a destination change in my head, anything that took me away from that destination just fell away. It wasn't a struggle to stop eating it. And listen, I could sit down a pizza by myself with no problem. I could sit and eat a bag of cookies myself with no problem.
Right.
I love carbs. I love things like that. Suddenly, they weren't even on my list of things to eat. I just started to eat healthy, good, and I started to get, whereas I was always hungry, suddenly now one meal satisfied me completely, and I didn't even need to eat more.
Wow.
And so what happens when we change our destination? What happens when we do that in our business? What happens when we do that in our marriage? What happens when we do that in our health? What happens when we do that as a nation? What happens if our destination as a nation is to solve the problems that humanity has, rather than our destination being to prove our side is right? What happens when our destination as a company is to serve people and create a culture where people are so excited to come to work that even if someone would give them $100,000 more to do the same work for them somewhere else, they would say, "No way, because this is my culture, this is my family, this is my life, because I feel loved and taken care of and appreciated and heard and validated and listened to."
Dude, this is unbelievably valuable, man. Holy crap. So, wow. And I was kind of kidding. We probably need to stay within about an hour and 10 minutes or so. But I want to, because, I mean, look, just by listening to you, if people do not understand the level of intelligence and passion and everything that you are, then, I don't know what to tell them, but, well, I know I have a few ideas, but I won't say it on air. But anyway, here's the thing: you are, you ended up at Hay House Publishing, and you did some pretty amazing things there. Do you want? Are you able to share that?
Sure. When I came, Hay House was a boutique publisher. They were publishing basically Louise Hay. And Louise Hay had written a book called You Can Heal Your Life, which was a New York Times best-selling book.
Right.
And they were doing about $3 million a year in sales. The head of Hay House had been a CPA. His name is Reed Tracy. He's still the head of Hay House now. He wasn't really familiar in those days with the world that he was in. He was a CPA, and he was a really wise man, but he was a little bit timid. And so what he to show you how long ago it was, his idea of growing Hay House was he met with Bernie Siegel, and he got Bernie Siegel's cassette tapes to be a distributor of Bernie Siegel's cassette tapes.
Wow.
I looked at him and I said, hey, I've been here a few months. I've been watching what we're doing. I was building a conference thing that would turn into the I Can Do It conferences. I brought together Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, a man by the name of Swami Kriyananda, who was from the yoga community that I was in, a woman by the name of Shakti Gawain, who had written a book called Creative Visualization. She was on her way down, and Louise Hay. And we brought the 5 of them together for a full day conference. We charged $35 in a place that held 3,000 people. When we arrived at the venue at 7 in the morning to set it up, or 6 in the morning to set it up, we found people were sleeping around the venue to get first come, first served seats.
Jeez.
And this was in San Francisco. They were sleeping around the streets they had spent the night there.
Oh my gosh.
I looked at Reed and I said, hold it, we might have something. Either we're charging too little, or he said, no, I want to make people feel like they can come. But we then did a reserve seating of $150. Those sold out in about 3 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
So we took this show on the road. But along the way, what happened is my job was to figure out how we could grow the business. I was the director of business development there. And what I realized is that we were working with the cream of the crop. We were working with the top people that nobody knew. I'm in the cream of the crop now.
Right.
Because I spent all my life building other people. I never spent a moment building myself.
Right.
We were working with those people, and those people we were working hard to do a little, but not to do much.
Right.
I wanted to figure out a way to get the top people in the self-help movement to come to Hay House, because we were a self-help publisher.
Right.
But major publishers were giving them $1 million a year, $1 million a book for an advance. So what I did is I created this new genre that was the card decks. And those card decks, what happened was I wrote the first one called Zen Cards. Okay. Wayne wrote a deck called Inner Peace Cards. Louise wrote a deck called Power Thought Cards. And we used the 4 agreements as the 4 agreements cards. And I made a display, and we took them into gift stores, bookstores, everywhere. But more than that, we started to show them to New York Times bestselling authors. And I said, we'll never get your books because you're getting $1 million, and we would never tell you to come to us.
Right.
We would tell you stay and get that $1 million because we can't give that to you.
Right.
But let us publish these card decks because nobody will want to do it because it's a lot of money to do and nobody's doing it.
Right.
So they said, sure, we'll do that. Our card decks outsold their New York Times bestselling books 10-1.
Oh my God. Are you kidding? Now hold it. Did you guys publish the 4 agreements?
We didn't publish the 4 agreements. We published the 4 agreement cards.
Oh my God.
And the cards were started to sell more than the book itself.
Wow.
And so they came to us and they said, Danny, why in the world wouldn't we publish our books with you? And I said, I'll tell you, I mean, that's a great question, but I'll tell you, we can't give you $1 million, but we can raise your royalty because you're selling these books on your own anyway. People are buying them because you're already popular.
Right.
All we have to do is get them in the bookstores. We can do the same thing anybody else does, and we can also promote you a little bit better.
Right.
So one by one, they started to come to us, and soon we had all the top-selling people in the country at Hay House.
That's unbelievable. That is absolutely unbelievable. That's amazing.
So what I want to just highlight again, remember what I said to you. The thing that was my shortcoming was that I saw the world differently than other people became my glory. Because my pain, like your book, our pain became our our place of refuge.
Right.
Because by creating what that did is in seeing this product that nobody else had seen, these card decks, suddenly it became a genre that was one of the fastest growing genres in the book industry. And people, I remember going to book shows and we had 20 publishers sitting in the aisles around us taking notes. And I said, guys, come on in and just, I'm happy to talk to you about it. Like, I'll answer any questions you have. And they got embarrassed. But when you share something that's great, you want to share something that's great and great that other people are doing it. Because if your destination again is to help people in the best way you can.
Yeah.
What did I do? I took an old stable, Cliff Notes, that I grew up with, a shortened version of a book that you could read and understand what the book has said, and I made them into beautiful, attractive card decks. I took the 50 most powerful points that a book said, I designed it into a beautiful package.
And you came up with, from the 4 agreements, you came up with a 50 card deck for that.
Yeah, I came up with the concept, and then what we did is we sat down with the authors, and then I had what I did to our art department there, which was making at that point, and I don't mean to discredit anybody, the content of what we were producing was so much more beautiful than the product we were producing. And that's because people didn't think they had the ability to do that. So I went out and I bought 25 books and I put it on our art director's bookcase. And I said, I don't want you to copy this look. I want you to develop our look. But when our look fits with these books, then you'll know you have it.
Wow.
And she was ecstatic because she had been wanting to do that the whole time. She was a great artist and a great art director. And that changed again. The destination changed. We went from not caring what a book looked like to caring what a book looked like, and everything then changed. So the outside and the inside had complete integrity.
So I've heard people say, and I didn't have a publisher. In fact, not having a publisher and not thinking I was good enough to even reach out to a publisher prevented me from writing my first book for 25 years or more.
Yeah.
And so, when I did it and I found out how easy it was to self-publish on Amazon, I was like, okay, well, hey, I'll write the book, and if nobody buys it, I still wrote a book. I don't care, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so like, what? How difficult? I'm sure at Hay House Publishing, I'm sure you guys at once you hit it big, I'm sure that you would get 1,000 people a day or a week that would say, "Hey, publish me."
We were getting thousands of manuscripts from people that nobody heard of.
Right.
And what changed once we started to get well-known people, Reed said they'll never want to be published by us, but they were standing in line saying, "Will you publish our books?" And
these were big people.
Big people.
Wow.
These were big people. And slowly, and there was hesitation because they thought, well, who are these people? We don't know anything about them. But as the company went from $3 million, where it was when I started, to $100 million a year in sales, suddenly those hesitations vanished.
Wow, man, that's just crazy. That's such a big change in sales. I don't even know what the percentage is. Somebody give me that percentage. So it's a lot. Right?
It's a lot.
That's huge. So you took a company which everybody has heard of now. I mean, I would think, unless you're living under a rock. But and I don't mean that offensively. You just if you've ever read a self-help book or heard of Dr. Wayne Dyer, right?
Yeah.
Louise Hay's book is unbelievable. I don't even know how many copies that book has sold, but it's in the millions. I know that.
Millions.
So man, so you were there for how long were you there?
I spent 10 years there. And when I came, it was a $3 million company. When I left, it was a $100 million company. And when I left, they really didn't need me anymore because what I did was I had the balls and the courage to just knock on doors that nobody would open.
Right.
And I would walk into a room that was full of walls and I said, I got in here somehow. There has to be a way to get out. And I just kept knocking on places, or I would knock down a wall
Right.
to make a door happen. And that's what happened. Once we got in, we were 100% sure. And then once I was in the door, I could bring Reed in, who was a genius.
Yeah.
Reed, but he was too shy in that period of time. And he thought nobody will ever come. I remember him saying no one will ever come to our offices. Now people fly in all the time.
Right. Right.
So,
and Louise passed away a couple years ago.
yes.
And I read, and it wasn't recently, I remember reading back then that Reed was going to, or somebody, was it him that's continuing to?
Yeah, he's continuing to run it. Now I think they made a deal with Penguin for Penguin to distribute it. So, but the company is still one of the best publishing companies available.
Sure.
And it's also changed a lot. And so, with a lot of respect to them, you would think after everything that I did, I took my book to Reed and I said, I want to show this to you. And he just said, it's not our book.
Whoa, no way.
You would think that Hay House would have wanted to publish it.
Oh my gosh.
And so there was, when I'm honest, there was a little bit of hurt inside me for that, because I would think, hey,
I would imagine.
Look what we did together. But you know what? When you realize that people have every right in the world to live their life the way they want to live their life. Yeah. And maybe it wasn't the book for them. And so my goal is to I self-published also.
Did you?
It's a fabulous, my agent became my publisher. Thank you very much.
The Mosaic. You guys got to get this book. And actually, how did you where did you have this? You didn't do this through Amazon.
No, I published it. I did the artwork.
It's beautiful.
I found the artwork. I wrote the stories. I created I worked with one of the editors that used to be at Hay House. One of the designers that used to be at Hay House designed it for me. I found the editors that helped me edit it. The book is there are very few things in my life that I am extremely proud of. That book is one of those things.
Dude, this book, just can I open it and show people the
sure,
inside?
Please.
So I don't know what they can see. I'm going to take the screen off of you for a second. I want people to see this.
Okay.
So there's it's just beautiful, and it's the paper is a nice glossy finish. It's really, really amazing. And dude, listen, man, and I don't know, man. Maybe it's the because you told me you were a hippie, and I feel comfortable calling you dude.
You can call me dude.
Dude, I have you've seen The Big Lebowski, right? I have the shirt that says "The Dude Abides" with Jeff. Is it Jeff Bridges, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's him on the front, and it said "The Dude Abides." I love that. But so somebody on here, Rob Glow, says, can you consider reading your book one day so it's in audio/video format, maybe a chapter at a time or in full? Because
100%. I am negligent in reading it. I've been wanting to read it and put it out there.
Yeah.
It's been a project that's on my mind. One of the things we are doing on our YouTube channel, which we just started, which has nobody on it.
We're going to change that right now. What's the YouTube channel?
The YouTube channel is Daniel Levin, The Mosaic.
Daniel Levin, The Mosaic.
And if you just go there, what we're starting to do is we're creating mosaic moments, 1 minute excerpts, 1 minute flashes of inspiration or change of perspective from the mosaic and the characters. And I wrote about 108 of them, so we're going to carry that out through the 108. I think we have about 6 or 7 up right now.
Well, my wife is on here. My wife has already said this is the best interview ever that I've done. So thank you for that. She also just said he has a great voice. Great suggestion, Rob. Where Rob suggested you reading the book one chapter at a time in audio video format and making it available on Audible would be cool. Plus that would put a few bucks in your pocket probably.
100%, and we are going to do that. I promise you, before year's out, we will have an audio version.
That's awesome, man. And listen, I think dude, we could stay on here all day because you're amazing, and I just love talking to you.
Mir,
You,
I could have said those same words back to you. I love you, brother.
dude, you've touched my heart, man, and I've only known you for a week. So, and I'm Taylor K. Stevens. Just subscribed to your YouTube channel. If you're watching this and you don't subscribe to his YouTube channel, unfriend me if we're Facebook friends. Unfriend and stop following me. Like seriously, stalkers. I'm kidding. So no, go subscribe to Danny's Facebook or YouTube channel. Follow this guy on Facebook. This is the second conversation that we've had.
Thank you, Jill. I see you just subscribed to my YouTube channel. There,
oh yeah,
just came up.
They're gonna start. She doesn't want to stop following me. I'm just kidding. She probably does. But anyway, so dude, you are and we could go all day talking about your accomplishments because there's not many people, like I said in the first 30 seconds of this. There are not many people on this planet that will ever achieve the levels that you've achieved. I'm assuming you hung out with Dr. Wayne Dyer a time or two.
Totally.
That guy was he's between him and Zig Ziglar and a couple of other people, including Deepak Chopra and I'll tell you, there's a book I have. I think Hay House published it. I have so many books. Did you guys publish The Power of Now?
No, Eckhart Tolle. No, we didn't. That was published by New World Library.
Okay. Because he he goes deep.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
really good guy.
But so
But even for you, I want you to know how humbled I am and how much gratitude I have. That you would even put my name in the same sentence as people like that. I mean, Wayne and I were, when we put out the card decks, Wayne was this sold millions and millions of books. I was nobody. And I would look at him and say, hey, my card deck's outselling yours, for about 30 seconds that happened. And he would get so pissed. He would do something. So we messed around a lot.
Wow.
But even to be in that category of people, and I just am humbled, and I'm just so thankful for your respect and your honor and your dignity. And I just want to tell you how beautiful a man you are and how much I appreciate this time together. And I really hope this will be a start, and maybe we can do this more.
Oh.
Maybe we can continue to do these lives a little bit more often.
Let's do it, man.
I would love that and anything I can do to help you.
Yeah.
It would be my honor because.
Dude. Wow.
It's time for us the mosaic really is about, it's time for us to come together again. It's time for us all of us are operating on our own. And if we can come together and work together and build something together that, the beautiful saying is that as the tide comes in, every boat rises.
Yeah.
And that's what it's time to do. It's time to bring that tide in so that every boat around us rises, so that every piece of the mosaic shines to create a new paradigm in the world where we all help each other and work together and build something beautiful rather than all of us thinking, how do I find fault with this? How do I knock this down? In a mosaic, the beautiful thing is pieces are not connected all the way around all the pieces.
Yeah.
They're just connected sometimes by one small little point.
Yeah.
So when we find those places of unity where we can agree with each other rather than the rest of the whole piece that doesn't agree, find the places of unity that bring us together, and we will span gaps of separation by building the bridge of connection that takes us back into each other's home, into each other's hearts, into each other's souls, into each other's beings, and we'll create miraculous things that way.
Wow. So, dude, you are I don't even know how, I can't define it. I don't know. I mean, it's rare that I stumble with my words like this, but I am absolutely just in shock and awe. Like I really am. You're incredible, Danny. I'm so grateful that you reached out to me and that you wanted to be a guest on the show, and I'm like, this may be the pinnacle of my career right here. This is
I'm going to listen to you when I feel down and depressed. I'm going to play this, video. I'm going to play this podcast, this Facebook Live.
This is like my H&R Block moment or something. I don't know. Like, like this is cool. So like, there's so many people that you'll have to go back through the comments, because people on here absolutely love you. You're an amazing, amazing human being, and I'm the same person. I'm the same kind of person.
Yes, you are.
I believe that there is no you and me, that it's an us, and a we. We are all connected. People have asked me in the past if I understand what the definition of God is, and I've said, I don't really think anybody can say I can define God outside of I believe that you are God, and I am God, and Sherry Matthews is God, and Ginger is God, and Jill is God, and Taylor is God, and all of us together is what makes up the body of God. That is just my kind of perception, and I have a feeling that you kind of are on the same page.
1,000%. If you think of what a mosaic is,
yeah.
It's a collection of pieces.
Right.
That on their own, some are broken, some are whole, some are shiny, some are dull, some are colored, some are not. It doesn't matter. But when all of those pieces come together, it creates an artistry that is so spectacular and so magnificent. And what I say, and perhaps this is where we close, what's happened in our society today is the lie has become so easy to believe, we call it the truth. And the truth has become so hard to believe, we call it a lie. And the truth is that we are united. We are all the same. Quantum physics tells us that even in this body that we think is solid, there is nothing solid in it. It's made up of energy. So the air that we're breathing right now, Mahatma Gandhi breathed and Hitler breathed. So the energy that we are taking in is ours to develop. It's always there. You and I are the same. We are made up of that energy. The separation of this body is not what separates us. It's the collected energy that we have together. And when we start to realize how powerful we are when we align with that energy, we can create miracles. And that's the big change that we want to have.
Wow, man. Let's end it there. I don't think we can top that. I think we need to have a Danny and Ken show.
I would love that. I would love that.
Where we just like
people are enjoying it. Let's do it.
Maybe I'll play the devil's advocate, and you can make me wrong all day.
I don't want to do that. I want you to be the angel, and I'll be the whatever. But if this conversation needs to get out to people. And this conversation needs to start to have more people converse on it. Yeah. And the more that we can do that, the more that we start to challenge the way we see the world. Because we all know the world we see.
Yeah.
What would happen if we saw the world that we don't see? What would that do? Again, just one final thought. Those beautiful drawings of where one way you see it as an old hag and the other way you see it as a socialite. Well, when you see it one way, you can't see it the other, and often you don't even see the other.
Right. Yeah.
We see what we see, but in the same world that we're looking at, there's something right there that we don't see. What would happen if we could see that?
Dude. Wow.
I love you, brother.
Man, I love you too. I appreciate you coming on. Everybody that is on here, everyone who has shared this, thank you. Like, it's amazing. If you haven't shared it, quit being selfish and share this out.
Thank you
I'm
so
playing. I'm playing. Don't unfriend me. I love my friends. But dude, you are holy crap. I don't even. I can't define it. You're
Well, I like that I'm
unbelievable.
holy. I like that I'm not crap, that I'm holy crap. Some people would just say I'm full of shit.
Oh
But
my
now
God, I just broke my
I'm
microphone.
holy crap.
Oh my God, that was funny. You are definitely not crap. But listen, man, I'm very grateful. Thank you to everybody who's been on, who shared this, all of the comments and engagement, everything. Make sure you go follow Danny. Look him up on Facebook. Send him a friend request. I don't know if you're maxed out or not, but follow his just follow this guy.
Thank you so much. It's been such an honor and privilege to be with you, and I love you, and I can't wait for more.
Ditto, man. Ditto. This has been
Okay.
awesome. You guys have an awesome day. Thank you all for watching. Danny, don't hang up. We'll see you guys. I think I have somebody scheduled tomorrow, but does it even matter now? I'm just kidding. You guys have a great day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.